Hey guys! Sorry it's been so long since my last cross-stitch knowledge video. Classes started and then I started cross-stitching and you know me, once I start I can't stop. um, a big reason why I waited so long is because I didn't want this video to just be like 5 minutes long. I don't know if you guys are okay with me making like one video per question as they come up. So, now you can let me know if you'd rather get short ones quickly or a really long one and wait a little while. I don't know. I have some questions, and then I just have some, like, tricks or tips or whatever, stuff you should buy, basically. Um, I have a few questions from Again Even from YouTube. And, the first one is, what is the difference between petite braids and metallics? Um, Petite braids are a type of metallic thread. Metallic thread is like at the top, and then you have different brands of metallic threads. Like you have the petite treasure braids, the Kreinik. Is that how you pronounce it? Kreinik? 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 I think it's pronounced Kreinik. I could be wrong though, I don't know. And then you just have like the DMC metallics, and then you have the Anchor metallics. And the next question is, what is Marlette? And I'm pretty sure, okay, don't quote me on this because I've never had any experience with Anchor, but I'm pretty sure Marlette is the metallic threads for Anchor. And DMC is what I use. DMC. DMC and Anchor are like, I'm pretty sure that like DMC is like the American-ish version of threads, and then Anchor is more European. I could be wrong though, but they're easily convertible. Like there are a ton of charts on there. You can easily get from one to the other. Like the next project I'm working on is Arcanine, and they listed Anchor threads, and I just got all the DMC numbers. And then the other one is Growlithe, and they were already in DMC, so I didn't need to convert them. But it's very easy to convert them. It doesn't take math or anything. You just find the number you need, and then there's the other one. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Marlette is just the metallic threads for Anchor. And then, like this one right here is the metallic thread for DMC. I cut off the name of it and taped it on here. E3852 came from this, snipped it off right there. So yeah, although I have never worked with the petite treasure braids, everywhere I've looked and everyone I've talked to who has used them, they prefer them over all the other metallics. So petite treasure braids. From what I've researched, it sounds like the petite treasure braids they don't knot up as easily, they don't break as easily, they don't fray as much. And I believe they're also thinner than the DMC metallics. Until I have used them myself, I can't give you like personal experiences with them, but branch out and try new things. That's what I did with the frame instead of using the hoops all the time. And I was happy with the change, so yeah, I'm always talking about how much I hate metallics, so I probably should try the petite treasure braids, and then I'll probably like them again. Oh, I saw a piece not long ago that had sequins. How are those put on? Because it didn't look that easy. There are actually quite a few ways you can put on sequins, and for anyone that doesn't know, let me get it up. This is a sequin. I don't know if it'll focus on it. Maybe if I put my hand behind it. There we go. Okay, so it's a little circular, shiny piece, and it has a hole down the middle. It is the only one I have. Like, I was looking all throughout my all throughout my room, because I know I have a ton of them, and I couldn't find them, but I found that one, so we're good. Anyways, there are a few different ways you can put them on. I'm just going to use some of the variation threads that were left over. What color should I use? Maybe I'll use green. I don't know. Because, yeah, if I'm putting it on red fabric. So. Oh, and you want to pull these slowly when you take them off because they knot very easily, and when they're knotted up, it can be hell trying to get them off. It's entirely up to you if you want to use 1 or 2 strands, but I would recommend just 1 because it wouldn't be as noticeable. Like, normally, right now, because the sequin I have is gold, I would want to use gold thread, but, like, the gold thread is more expensive than these variation threads, so, you know. And maybe this way it'll be easier for you to see what I've done. So I'm going to knot the end. It's entirely up to you if you want to use knots or not, but everybody already knows that I do, so, you know, don't be surprised. I hate putting a thread in one strand, or I hate putting a knot in one strand. It takes forever to get it the size you need it. And it's really easy to get like one knot really close to the end and then one knot really far away, so then you're like, no! I'm going to use my beading needle for this. You'll see why after I show you the first way of sewing it, or stitching it on, whatever the proper word for this is. That didn't work. And I swear I had a cross stitch in my room that had sequins on it, but I can't find it, so I might have given it to my parents. I don't know. So, you have the red fabric. I'm going to pretend that the front is facing you guys, so I'm going to come in from the back. Maybe you know what, I'll do it in the middle, so it should have an easier time focusing. So, come in. And then when you look at one of these sequins, a lot of times it's kind of rounded a little bit, and I don't know about you guys, but I've always seen the rounded part as the top part. So you go in from the bottom, you come up, push it all the way down. Okay, so you have it like that. Then you can either go this way, this way, this way, or this way. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to go to one of the sides. And so you can either leave it like that, where you have the stitch just, you know, on one side, or you can come up through the middle again, right through the sequin again. Can you see that? Oh, and then go the opposite way with the needle. And you just go straight down. And then that should keep it in place. There we go. I mean, if you really like it, you could do it, you know, up and down as well and do it all the 4 ways, but you don't want to cover up too much of the sequin, which makes this next option very nice because you don't see the thread at all, which is also why I got the beading needle. So, you start the same way with the knot in the back, and you go through the sequin. You take a bead. Where did I put the beads? There they are, okay. You take one bead, and it's entirely up to you what color you want to use. I have gold ones, which would probably be harder to see, and you might like that, I don't know. But I'm using a purple one, so it's easier to see. So take that, and then you go right back through the middle of the sequin, through the same stitch you have the knot in, if it's possible. And there you go. That bead will keep it in place because the bead is thicker than the hole in the sequin. There, I keep turning it the wrong way. There we go. So you can do it that way. It's up to you if you want to use, you know, the beads or not. I think they look really cool like this. But yeah, I mean, that is the only sequin I have. Like, I'm kind of embarrassed. But I know I have a ton of them lying around somewhere, but I can't find them, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, um, okay, I think that was all of Again Even's questions. I didn't copy it down, but I'm pretty sure she it was really funny. She was asking something like if cat hair counts as a oh, what was it? Some kind of like thread or something. I laughed so hard when I saw that. It was great. And it totally does. Cat hair totally counts. Like anytime you cross stitch, it counts. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna leave the thread in here. I'll take the sequin off. I'll take the thread off. So there is my one sequin. Okay, and then someone else, obviously didn't write down their name, asked how to bead. So one of the first things you need to know with beads is, I guess the numbering system is what you would say. If you look at these, the purple is 11/0 and the gold is 15/0 if it'll focus. And then, if the glare won't be horrible. 11/0. There we go. Okay. 11/0. All right. And then the gold. Come on. Okay. Okay, well, in the same place it says 15/0. And the 11/0 are bigger. So the smaller the number before that /0, the bigger the beads are. So these 15/0 gold ones are much smaller than the purple ones. You want to make sure that the beads you get aren't too big for the Aida count size you're using, or the fabric count size. Like, if you guys watched Mother Moon, you'll see that there was a spot where I was supposed to have 5 beads in a row, and I just changed it to 3 because the beads I had were too big. They wouldn't fit. And that's not because I got the wrong number on accident. It's because I couldn't find smaller beads that would work. So, I didn't think she looked bad, so I'm okay with it. Anyways, so the purple ones, 11/0, are bigger. I'm going to put one of them on here. So, just like before, there is a knot in the back. You put the bead, you put the needle through the bead. And there are a couple ways you can do this. You can go diagonal, which is usually what I do, just because it keeps them all uniform with the rest of my stitches. Like when I did all the other stitches, I did bottom left, top right first. Oops, I missed the hole. That's not going to look pretty at all. And it would look like that. If it'll focus. Do I need my fingers in there? There we go. So I'll do the bead the same way, or, with the thread. Got that. Put the bead on the needle, if it's possible to do it from this angle. There we go. Okay. So, got the bead. Bam. Now, I'm taking that thread, I'm going the exact same direction all the other ones. So that's what I normally would do. But you can do it other ways. Well, actually, the other ways of doing it depends on what the pattern wants you to do. If it shows a bead on a whole square, you'll want to do it this way. If it shows it at the cross section of like 4 stitches, this is how you'll want to do it. So you come up in a corner spot, you put the bead in there. Okay, so I have the bead on there. And then you go through the exact same hole you went through with the thread before you put on the bead. Is it gonna focus? So it's kind of on a spot right in the middle of the 4. Let me see if I can show you better. So that last bead is in between 4 stitches. Those first 2 are actually essentially a stitch themselves. They take up the whole space of a normal stitch. So it's entirely up to what you want to do and what the pattern calls for. Like normally a French knot will be at that cross section, and beads usually take up a whole spot themselves, a whole X, but it depends on what the pattern calls for. Like I just did father-son, and whoops, let's see. So you have 2 beads right by my fingers, and as you can see, they take up an entire spot. But let's see, where were all the French knots? If you see that white on his eye, which is a French knot, not a bead, it's in between 4 other stitches. It's not on a single spot itself. And a bead can go either way. It depends on what you want and what the pattern says. I think those are the only actual questions I had. I think everything else was just ways for me to, give you guys hints or whatnot. Although I was messaged on Facebook, I was asked about cutting fabric, like when you want to stitch something together like a pillow. And if you watched my Cats for Christmas video, you saw that I saved all the cutting for last. And so what you want to make sure when you cut that let me see if I can show you. Like right here, you don't want it cut like this, because that is going to just be horrible to try and stitch that, like when it's right next to the pattern. And if you can see, the fabric is already kind of fraying on the edges. Come on, don't focus on my hair. There you go. It's kind of frayed up here. And when it frays really badly, it starts to pull apart. And that could easily pull the stitches out. So you want to make sure you leave plenty of room between the end of the pattern and the end of the cut fabric. So normally I would leave like 4 or 5 stitches. So it would be more like 2, 3. That's more how I would do it. Make sure you have plenty of space between the end of your pattern and the end of the fabric. So you could cut it out before you do the pattern, but I mean that makes it infinitely harder to have it in a hoop, because then you'll most likely have to hold it in your hand, and hand cramps aren't fun, I'm just saying. So yeah, I would encourage you to measure it out first. Like if you know that the pattern is going to be like 2 inches by 2 inches, and you're starting on a piece like this, which is like maybe 3 inches by 3 inches. One, yeah. You know, you play it safe. If you're worried that you won't have enough here, even after measuring it out, just use a bigger piece. Like, there will always be a purpose for small pieces later on. Just hold on to them. Like, I held on to this, and oh, it's too far away. And the extra green fabric from the Cats for Christmas. So, they're not gone. Oh. Alright, so I'm sure plenty of you guys have seen these before. This was actually from the Pokemon Cross Stitch, this one in particular. So all of these numbers were used on the Pokemon Cross Stitch. And there were 2 more, exactly this size, and another one that was smaller. And it held like more than these though. For me, when I first started cross stitching, when I would put fabric in here, I would do it the way it always came in a pattern, which was just like this. You know, in one hole, out the other. And when they're cut this close, when you pull out a second one, it's very easy to pull out the ones next to it. So, I'm sure plenty of you already know this, but there could be that one person out there who's never done it before. So, you know, don't be mean. Fold it in half so you have this kind of loop. Take that loop, push it through one of the holes, whatever one you need it in, and then still with the, I lost the loop. I put my pointer finger and my thumb through that loop, reach down and grab that extra thread and pull it out, and then you've got this. Look at that. So now, when you pull out another thread, you're not going to pull on this one, because it's on there. Yay! And when you all do them like that, you just grab that loop. Oops, if I can see, grab that loop, and it just pulls right off. Yay! So, I was cross-stitching for years before I realized I could do that. Like, oh... But for me, it's always been very helpful because I do a lot of big projects where there are a ton of different colors, and having them constantly get pulled out was horrible. Oh. What's another one I had? Oh, if you guys have ever seen this in the store and you use the bobbins, you keep them on those plastic bobbins, or paper. I have paper ones as well. I would definitely recommend you buy this. This thing is the best. It is spectacular. And if you look at the bottom, it's got this try thing going on. Is it focusing? Okay, let's see. So you take that, put it on here. We got that. This little piece in the middle comes out. You shouldn't do that because you'll probably lose it that way. That was an accident. I don't have any empty bobbins in here. Bobbins. So, you take them. There is a hole where that little piece used to be. Put the bobbin on there. Unfortunately for the paper ones, a lot of times that hole doesn't line up with the hole on here. In which case, let me put this on here. I just push it through anyways. So, now it's on there. You take this, grab an end of it. There we go. It should come off easily. And then you just start wherever you want. Don't do it too tightly because that will kink the thread. And then you just go. It is way faster and way easier than doing it by hand. And if you have as much thread as I do, it is one of the best things you will ever buy because it's just so helpful. Especially when Also, like me, you're buying a lot of new thread a lot. Okay, so now it's kind of knotting up a little bit. There we go. Always be gentle, because these things knot up so easily. Then if you have some extra, like I did, I put the extra on after. I don't put the extra on with it because I want to use that extra first, so it goes on top. And then you take that piece and you put it through one of the legs, and it's trapped. And so, oops. The paper ones, when they don't line up, can easily be ripped and torn. But I don't know if I'll ever put that one on a ring, so I'm not too worried about it. Oops, oh no. Oh, there we go. Okay. How long have I been on here? 30 minutes. Sweet. So, there's that. I think I got this for like $2 or $3, and it was the best $2 or $3 I've ever spent in my life. It was spectacular. I'm pretty sure that's all I got. Oh, I was asked on a Facebook message some good sites for cross stitching, so I will. Wait, I'm gonna lean this way. I will put them here. Okay, so this last part is kind of a rebuttal to a comment I got on one of my first cross-stitch knowledge videos. I don't remember if it was part 1 or part 2 or not, but it doesn't really matter. The comment was basically saying, like, everything is wrong, so if you're new to cross-stitch, don't pay attention to this. So what I did was get... Wait, this one wasn't Joan Elliott, was it? I have to make sure it wasn't Joan Elliott. Oh, no, it is Joan Elliott. Okay, well, I have 2 books with 2 different artists. The Cross Stitch Fairies is Joan Elliott, and the 99 Lovable Pets is, what's her name? Linda Gillum. These are published, okay? So I don't think you should give more weight to an internet source over a published one unless, you know, the published one is out of date and all of that. But cross stitch hasn't really changed in a while. But these are published sources, okay? So I am going to see if they agree with what I said on how to cross stitch. So, stitch diagram, counted cross stitch, X. Work 1 cross stitch to correspond each colored square on the chart. For horizontal rows, work stitches in 2 journeys, figure 1. For vertical rows, complete stitch as each stitch as shown. So, when you're going horizontal, it says to go one way, and this is bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right. And as you make your way across, when you get to the end, you come back going bottom right, top left. I mentioned that in my video. I said you should always go the same way. You should always begin every stitch the same way and end it the same way. And if you're going in a long way, you can do it. You are more than welcome to do the full stitch as you go, or you can just do one part and then come back and do the other part. So that's 1 point for me so far. And then it says to go vertical. This one says to just do the full stitch. So, and obviously, you know, when the chart shows a back stitch crossing a colored square, a cross stitch should be worked first, then the back stitch should be worked on top of the cross stitch. So that's something I pointed out. You always leave the back stitch in for last. Now, the way I backstitch isn't quite the same as how other people would do it. You know, you begin here, you begin here, go across there, then you come back to this spot, and you go up here, you go up here, then you come down here, and you continue on. I don't care about the back. I have made that more than well known enough. So, I don't care if it looks weird. I don't care. So this one is saying, you go there, go here, and then you would go, how many far did I go? You would go here, and then you would go here. I guess I could get closer, huh? You go here. Then you go back to that spot you were on. You go. Maybe we'll just do 2. And then you go here. And then there. And you just keep going along it. So although the front looks really pretty and singular, the back, I kept going over the same spots. So, back stitching, you know, what a thing. Quarter stitch, 1/4 stitch. Quarter stitches are denoted by triangular shapes of color on the chart and on the color key. Come up at 1, then split fabric thread to go down at 2. So you come up on the corner, and then you go down the middle. That's a quarter stitch. It doesn't show how to do the 3/4 stitch, but all you would do is add that one spot right there. Backstitch. For outline detail, backstitch, shown on chart and on color key by colored straight lines, should be worked after the design has been completed. I've said that. French knot. Bring needle up at 1. Wrap floss once around needle and insert needle at 2, holding end of floss with non-stitching fingers. Tighten knot, then pull needle through fabric, holding floss until it must be released. For larger knot, use more strands. Wrap only once. So this one is saying to only wrap it once, but I didn't notice it was really far over. Sorry. If you want a bigger knot, you can also wrap twice. So you can either use more strands or wrap more than once. It's entirely up to you. I didn't talk about lazy daisy stitch, so I'm not going to bring that up here. So far, everything that's said, I have mentioned, and it was correct. And, by the way, published source. Okay, so now we have Joan Elliott's instructions. And Joan Elliott is the one who designed Mother Moon, Father Sun, the Crescent Dragon, all those pillows I did. So if you like all of those, you like her work. So I'm just saying. Knotless loop start. This neat start can be used with any even number of strands. To stitch with 2 strands, begin with 1 strand about 80 centimeters or 30 inches. Double it and thread the needle with the 2 ends. Put the needle up through the fabric from the wrong side where you intend to begin stitching, leaving the loop at the back. Form a half cross stitch, put the needle back through the fabric and through the loop to anchor the stitch. That is a really weird looking thing. Okay, finishing stitching. At the back of the work, pass the needle and thread under several stitches of the same or similar color, then snip off the thread close to the stitching. You can begin a new color in a similar way. I explained that and in bigger words with more images, but still. Actually, that one didn't have an image at all, so. Working the stitches. Backstitch. Backstitch is used for outlining a design or part of a design, to add detail or emphasis, or for lettering. It is added after the cross stitch has been completed, so the backstitch line isn't broken by cross stitches. It is shown on charts by solid colored lines. That's the same. Cross stitch. This is the most commonly used stitch in this book and can be worked singly or in 2 journeys. For neat stitching, keep the top stitch facing the same direction. Half cross stitch is simple as is simply a single diagonal line. Half stitch is just that one. So far nothing's wrong. I don't know, you guys. Oh, here we go. Here are some images. Full stitch. That's a half stitch. And this is showing you how to go, if you're going left and right, to go one way and then come back the other way on top of it. The 3/4 stitch. Showing one of the ways I showed you how to do it. French knot. That one, she doubled it. This sure is looking exactly how I explained it. But apparently I did everything wrong. Ooh, this one says working with beads, so this is good. Some of the designs in the book use beads to bring an extra sparkle and dimension to the design. Beads are shown in the charts as a large colored circle with a dot, with details of the beads type in the key. You might find using a framer hoop helpful to keep the fabric taut. Attach beads using a beading needle or very fine sharp needle. Thread that matches the bead color and a half cross stitch or full cross stitch if you prefer. So in their picture, they all go the same way like I first explained here. So Joan Elliott agrees with me. I'm talking about, okay. So, hate to break it to you, troll, but I have 2 published sources that say you're wrong and I was right. So I'm just saying. Like, I imagined that these cross-stitch knowledge videos were more for people first beginning so that they can start a project on their own, and then eventually they'd go out and buy a book or buy a pattern. And I definitely recommend that if you do that, you look at the back of a book and you check out how they want you to do things, because, you know, certain projects will want you to do things in a different way. I mean, Joan Elliott uses the same instructions in the back of Bewitching Cross Stitch as she did in the Fairies one. So, if you're going to say there is so much wrong here, it is unreal, seriously, don't waste your time, be right, okay? Like, I mean, and my response to this person was very polite. I was asking, you know, what specifically was wrong. I never got a response, and it's been several months. Like, you know, of course. But, like, if you're going to tell other people that, oh, hey, this information is wrong, you should provide a source to show what's right. Because simply saying, oh, this is wrong, doesn't make you look smart. It really doesn't. If that's what you were going for, you failed. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I didn't even thumbs down the comment. I might go back and delete it now because 2 published sources back me up. Okay, you know what? I'll even go on, I will Google how do you cross stitch, and the very first link that pops up, I will click it. You know what? I should probably do it on here, shouldn't I? This way you can see it better. How do you cross stitch? 4 ways to cross stitch. WikiHow. Choose your fabric. I talked about the different types of fabric. Typical, done in a type of material known as Aida cloth. This material is loosely woven, blah, 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 blah. 11 or 14 stitch count, as this provides larger spaces for your cross stitch. I said that. The higher the number of stitches, the smaller your crosses will be. I said that. Each skein of embroidery floss comes in 6 threads, but only 1 to 3 will be used for cross stitch at a time. Embroidery floss comes in both matte colors as well as iridescent and metallic. The latter 2 are a bit more difficult to work with and cost several times more than the former. Choose a pattern.
Choose a pattern from a booklet or online and gather embroidery floss in colors to match. I said that. As a beginner, it may be best to start with a simple cross stitch. Find a pattern that is small and doesn't involve too many details and uses a total of 3 to 7 colors only. Oops. Oh, hey, there's a hoop. Get an embroidery hoop. This is a double ring made of plastic, metal, or wood that secures your cross stitch as you work. Although you can create a cross stitch without one, embroidery hoops are incredibly helpful and relatively expensive. Small hoops are easier to hold but must be moved often, while larger hoops require more of a grip but need to be moved around your needle point less. Huh. Mine is already more expansive than this person's because I also mentioned hoops and scrolls. Or frames and scrolls, excuse me. Making your own pattern, I don't have the patience for that, so. Cut your fabric and floss. The size of your fabric will depend on the size of the pattern you are using. Each small square on the cross stitch represents blah, 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 blah. So, personally, or actually, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like they have 6 stitches between the end of their fabric and where the pattern is supposed to end. It looks like they gridded it. They did some gridding. Oh, hey, that was a video. I was like, what the heck happened? So, look at that. That's what I just talked about. Personally, I would leave that snipping for later, but, you know, it's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Thread your needle. Begin your cross stitch. Count on your pattern the number of grid spaces to the first stitch, typically the centermost stitch, and insert your needle from the bottom. Pull the thread all the way through, leaving a bit of the loop at the bottom. Then cross the thread down or up diagonally and pull the thread through the loop underneath to create a stable anchor for your stitching. I mentioned that. It doesn't matter if you start your cross stitch going bottom left, top right, or top left, bottom right, as long as you are consistent with this pattern over the entirety of your project. I said that. With every stitch you make, thread your strings over the loose tail in the back to secure it to your cross stitch fabric. This will also make it less likely for your cross stitches to unravel from being tugged or pulled. I talked about that. I prefer knots, but you obviously are allowed to do that. Continue stitching. Oh, look at that little panda, he's so cute. Finish your piece. I don't wash mine, so I can't tell you how to do that. Quarter stitches, 3/4 stitches, back stitch, French knot. Wow. The very first Google link agrees with me. So let's close that. Close. Did it. Okay. I don't want to click on a video because you can do that yourself. I mean, obviously you can do this yourself, but I just want to show that I am not an incredibly unreliable source like this person claims I am. Oh, you actually have to click on each of these. Oh, what is cross stitch? Is it just like definition? Oh, how cute is that? It takes faith, hope, and imagination for a caterpillar to become a butterfly. Oh, that's so cute. So here's an image. I talked about that. I talked about those. I'm just saying, you guys, so far it doesn't sound like I'm crazy. That's 6 strands. Threading the needle. I was going to say hooping the needle. That's not a thing. Going back when you're done. That's the stitch. I'm just saying. Cross stitch toolkit. Choose your thread. Selecting fabric. Like, all these things. Like, I'm dying to know what was so wrong about everything that I said. Dying to know. You're just one person on the internet who hasn't done anything else with their YouTube channel, by the way. I'm just saying, like, this is probably someone who does watch my videos, but instead of using their main account, they were too scared to say something like this on there. They made up a fake one specifically to write that comment. So, I'm not gonna do another bit of information like this ever again. If you ever disagree with me, please say so and then explain the proper way to do it, or a link to the proper way to do it, or, you know, something. If all you say is, no, you're wrong, I'm probably just going to delete it because
you're not helping anyone. All right? Like, I've had plenty of people tell me that I iron incorrectly, and that's fine. Like, I'm pretty sure that I went back to the first video where I ironed something and I put in an annotation explaining, like, I know this isn't the right way to do it, and it can cause this and this and this. So, if that's not good enough for you guys, I'm sorry, I'm not taking a whole video down just because you disagree with the way I iron something. But I have no problem going back to one of my videos and being like, hey, like, I was wrong, or, oh, there's another way to do this. I don't have any problem with that. I do have a problem with someone who claims everything is wrong and then can't refute that. Like, if I was wrong, if that entire part 1 and part 2 of this series was wrong, I would like someone to tell me. Like, that means I've been cross-stitching wrong for over, like, 14 years. And that's not really good. I mean, just saying. If everything was wrong, I'm curious why these two came out looking so gorgeous. But, yeah, now I'm acting like a rude brat. I'm like, ain't nobody got time for you, lady. Like, whatever. So, yeah. Hopefully, maybe even today or tomorrow, I'll start working on the Arcanine and Growlithe pillow that I'm making as a commission on Etsy. I don't want to say the person's name because I don't want to, like, privacy stuff, I don't want to be rude. I do have some papers I need to write. I have a paper for my film class, my Pilates class, do I have another paper? I'm not sure. They should be pretty easy, but I want to make sure I don't forget to do them because I'm too busy cross-stitching. You guys just need to, let me know if you have any other questions, and if you would rather I just answer a question as soon as it pops up, like if you guys are okay with like a 3 to 5 minute video for like cross-stitch knowledge part 4, I will do that. But if more of you would rather I get a long one, I can do that as well. Obviously, I saved those questions for a little while. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Tessa's over here sleeping. She's so cute. Anyways, I guess that's all I really got. Hopefully some of these things were helpful to you guys. If they weren't, I don't know. Tell me what you want me to talk about down there. Oh, and I started making specific images for the videos I've uploaded, like Father, Son, Mother Moon, and the Fairy and the Dragon, and Cats for Christmas. All have an image in the background, and then it says the title at the top. Oh, and Dancing Unicorn has it too. And then like part or day, and then a number. So hopefully that's nice. If you guys don't like that, let me know, and I won't do it anymore. I just know, like, every time I go on YouTube, it's like, oh, you should do this and this and this and this, because, people like it more, and I was like, okay, fine, calm down. Yes, I totally made that face at my laptop screen. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's all I really got, so I will see you guys in the next video.